The University of Guam has submitted its budget proposal to the legislature, which is higher than the amount they requested last fiscal year. President Robert Underwood sat down with us and explains that they've had to increase their request because of fiscal shortfalls that are now affecting the way they operate. Here's more. For the first time since 2008, the University of Guam says they will finish their fiscal year in a deficit. UOG President Robert Underwood attributes this shortage to recent fiscal shortfalls affecting educational institutions across the island. And Underwood asserts that the fiscal shortfall has rippling repercussions, not only for the students at UOG, but for the entire island as well.
The problem with that is not that it affects me, or even if it affects the faculty. The problem with that is that it affects the whole island. The island's economy depends upon the University of Guam. The island's social future depends upon the University of Guam. The island's, I think, general health and well-being depends upon the University of Guam. So this is not about cutting faculty salaries or making adjustments or making life uncomfortable for University of Guam staff. This is about the island's future, its professional future, its economic planning, its ability to deal with the kinds of problems and issues that we all face. And if people cannot see that, they're incredibly short-sighted.
In UOG's FY18 budget request to the legislature, Underwood pointed out that the University of Guam did not receive $6.9 million of their full $39.9 million allotment for last fiscal year. Underwood notes that the university has experienced a financial surplus for the last 10 years, averaging around 3.5% of revenues. However, the report states that, quote, reserves were depleted in FY16 due to a lack of allotment payments from the government, end quote.
We couldn't use that money this year because we had to expend it all just to keep ourselves afloat. So that $5 million essentially had to be made up somewhere. So essentially that money used up all of our reserves, particularly for capital projects, and then it used up all of our extra money that we normally put into initiatives. So we had to cancel a bunch of initiatives like staff development and faculty development.
Underwood said they've come to an understanding with DOA that's allowed them to survive until the end of the semester, but it still doesn't help the university recuperate some of the reserves they have inadvertently lost. The president says this places UOG in a precarious position.
Now, we're able to survive, but only because we have other revenue sources. But those other revenue sources are supposed to go into initiatives which basically we've had to do without.
Underwood says the fiscal shortfall directly affects the students in two ways. One, the university is not able to fill positions on time, which means the students have more adjunct professors than they should have. The other is that the impending shortfall could negatively attract the attention of accreditors. And the president asserts that this would be a needless problem for UOG to inherit if it's solely based on the allotment shortage.
With no reserves, that means that in the next fiscal year budget, we're asking for $2 million in order to allow us to do capital projects, which we haven't asked for in years.
In totality, the University of Guam's budget request for FY18 is $33.8 million for operations, which is around $3.1 million higher than their previous fiscal year. Although the president is not confident they will receive the entire amount they've requested, he says he hopes the government of Guam understands that this is an investment for the island as a whole.